sharing a reading experience. I'm reading from a book called What I Heard, and I'm sharing it with you now. I hope you listen and receive something worthwhile from this. This video might inspire you to read what I did. It's my hope that you will search for the best books and gain information and ideas to help you to become a better person. The more you read, the better you'll think, and the better you think, the more you'll be able to face life's challenges successfully. Joshua continues in Moses' stead. I, Joshua, led the people of Israel back to their ancestral lands and began to drive out the people that were found there. I told Israel, banish fear and doubt and be bold so you will succeed. Remember that God is with you always. The people of Israel are a new and obedient people and are willing to say, we will go. We must continue to be vigilant because we all tend to warp and twist what we're told. I constantly reminded the people of Israel not to deviate from the Lord's commandments by making the laws stricter or more lax. If we did, we would end up being no better than anyone else in the land. When we crossed the Jordan, we set up a circle of stones and called it Geliloth. The people of Reuben and Gad called the place Witness, for they said, it is a witness between us and them, that the Lord is our God too. For it was a practice among us not to even mention the names of pagan gods, but to cling tightly to the Lord. If we abandon the Lord to serve other pagan gods, the Lord would turn against us and let us be destroyed, even though he had done so much for us. Therefore, we are reminded that we must love the Lord, walk in his ways, obey his commandments, hold firm to him, and serve him with all of our heart, might, mind, and soul. The judges ruled after Joshua's death. The human heart is in bondage to sin and quick to turn from faith. But God's mercy and grace offers deliverance as we turn toward the Lord. The Lord raised up judges to rescue Israel, and these governors led Israel in dark times. But as soon as the judges died, the people turned to corruption, served pagan gods, and did whatever seemed right in their own eyes. When Israel turned from God, the Lord said, you once cried to me, and I delivered you. Now you serve other gods. I will not rescue you anymore. Go and cry to the other gods you have chosen. Let them rescue you in your hour of distress. Ruth's devotion to God. When Ruth's husband, Mahlon, died, she decided to accompany her mother-in-law to the lands of Israel rather than to stay in her own country with her family. Ruth told her mother-in-law, where you go, I will go. Your God shall be my God. In the new land of Israel, Ruth met Boaz. On their meeting, Boaz said to Ruth, may the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you take refuge, reward you fully. They were later married. Their son was Obed, the father of Jesse, who was the grandfather of King David. From seemingly small decisions, great things can happen. The time of King David. The Lord does not see things as humans do, and so humans often rebel. Even the priests of Israel often treated the Lord and his law with contempt. If a person sins against another person, the Lord can mediate for that guilt. But when one has contempt and sins against the Lord, who can intercede? Because the people followed their own ways rather than the Lord's ways, they stumbled in darkness. Because of wickedness that was found in Israel, Messages from the Lord were rare and visions were quite uncommon. The Lord's prophet reminded Saul not to be stubborn and rebellious as Pharaoh and the Egyptians were, but from an evil people come evil deeds. War with the bearers of Ham's corruption soon took peace away. Israel was an Ichabod without glory, and they stood in fear as the 9-foot Philistine champion Goliath of Gath taunted them. David's family were humble shepherds, yet David believed that it is the Lord that rescues his people and that the battle belonged to him. Since the Lord was Israel's Ebenezer, David gathered 5 stones of help when faced with the giant foe. Before David kills his Philistine champion, he declares, "You come with your sword and spear and shield, but I come in the name of the Lord of hosts." The tall and handsome Saul used to be a good man when he was first chosen to be king. Instead of being grateful, Saul kept a jealous eye on David after the people saying, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s." The jealousy consumed Saul more and more until the Spirit of the Lord left him. Estranged from the Lord, the enemy's arrows struck Saul, and he fell on his own sword, demonstrating we can be our own worst enemy. In David's sorrow, he composed a funeral song for his former king and his best friend, Jonathan ben Saul. David called the Song of the Bow, and wrote it down in the book of Jasher. David saw he was wrong much of his life, but believed the Lord would bless him for it. Life is meaningful, and God devises ways to bring us back when we have separated from Him. To be faithful, He is faithful. To those with integrity, He shows integrity. To the pure, He is pure. But to the shrewd, He is shrewd. Our lives are like water that is poured out on the ground. It cannot be gathered up again. We must therefore be careful how we live. David began to prosper, but in his power, he forgot the source of power. David had an inner circle of friends and elite warriors who stayed close by his side and guarded him and the palace. These men all lived close by and were at the king's disposal at a moment's notice. This elite group was known as David's 30, which Uriah the Hittite was a member. How long and how low do we go when we want rather than doing what the Lord wants? David's rebellion against the will of the Lord was rewarded with the rebellion of Absalom, who made war against David, his own father. David declares his hopelessness as he says, "Darkness is under my feet, and the bow of steel is broken in my arms." David traveled to meet Absalom for battle. Shimei, the Benjamite, came out to throw rocks at David and insult him. His guard asked if they should kill him. David replied, "No, my own son is trying to kill me, and this man is only cursing me." When Absalom was killed by Joab while fleeing, David's sorrow was complete as he lay weeping. "Oh, oh, my son Absalom, my son, Absalom. God, that would have died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. I wish you the best in your happy readings. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, it was nice being with you.